from the voice of Vegeta.
I always forget that you just have random Dragon Ball Z cards sitting around.
Yeah, dude.
It's like the second time.
Dude, Dragon Ball Z was dope. This game was so much fun. Look, from the... That's great. That's great, salty podcast intro.
All right, we're good.
Are you doing it right? I think you got to do it.
You said I was bad at it last time.
No, but you got to bring the energy.
Whoa! Welcome everybody. Welcome back to what is this podcast? Whoa! Welcome everybody. Welcome back to May the Zoo be with you. Your friendly Friday morning drive experience here. Well, I'm joined by Josh from Hometown TCG. Everybody say hi to Josh.
Pew, 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 pew.
And I am Louie from KitchenTableTCG. What is up, everyone? We're Georgeless, so we never know how to start. We never know how to start without George.
The wheels, when George isn't here, the wheels just fall off.
Yeah,
the wheels just fall off.
It just goes. We're going to chat about all things Magic, all things TCG industry. We call this a Magic the Gathering podcast, but we talk about all the things in the TCG industry. Today we're talking about Outlaws at Tanking Junction. Not really. It's just clickbait, guys. It's not really tanking. Not gonna lie to you. We're gonna talk about Standard being back. It's been about a year since they changed their Standard stuff. We're gonna talk about the Sorcery Beta EV expected value. We're gonna talk about Star Wars crushing it. We're gonna talk about OP6 being non-existent, and then we're gonna get into it without George here. Lorcana versus Pokemon. What is happening? What is bigger? What is badder?
How interesting do you think that conversation's going to be without us screaming over each other?
It'll be amazing to go through a podcast without being able
What are you talking about? I disagree.
Yeah, hopefully being able to make a point and track with each other. But
no, I don't. Listen, I'm not here for your points. I'm here for George's points. And since he's not here, this podcast is going to go off the rails. And I didn't realize this. And this is not scripted.
George is the one that's been keeping us together.
No. This beer is 9.9% alcohol.
Tropical Beer Hug is one of the best. It's an IPA, right?
Yeah.
That's like dude, it's so good. But there's a lot of alcohol in that, man.
I didn't realize that.
I'll balance it out, baby. I got the water right here. I got the water.
Let's do it, baby. Let's get into it. Let's give the people what they want. Where is Taylor Swift right now?
Taylor Swift's new thing. George wanted us to all tell you. Taylor Swift's new thing came out on Disney Plus. I'm sure it's great. It's like a live show or something.
The storyline of Bob Iger betraying George by the night that he's busy releasing Taylor Swift's concert. Yeah. It's juicy. It's juicy.
Oh, we should make sure everybody knows George did not die. He did not have a heart attack because of the Diet Coke. He's still with us. He's just busy tonight, so he couldn't make it to the podcast. So and we don't miss any time. We never miss a week. We might miss George or Josh, but we never miss a week.
Yes.
I don't think I've missed a week. Wow, that's impressive.
I don't think you can. It's on your channel.
I know, but I don't think I've missed a week in like 3 years.
You can't.
I haven't done anything that consistently in 3 years, and I have a kid.
That's not something you want to say into the internet.
I'm just saying. Like
you showered with regularity once a week, I'm sure.
When we go on vacation, I still do the podcasts, but when I go on a work trip, I don't parent from the trip. So like I'm a better podcast host than I am a parent.
That second statement, not completely true.
All right. I am shamelessly plugging GameGrove.gg Magic the Gathering pre-orders for Thunder Junction while we talk about Thunder Junction, by the way. It's shamelessly plugged on there. You can get yourself, Josh, a play booster box at 18% markup from my cost at $155. Listen, that's my profit margin. I know you're on the edge of your seat just ready to buy that $155 play booster, aren't you? You can also get yourself a collector box for $225, which is actually a good deal. And the full commander set for $160 or any of the commander decks for $45.
Hey, big shout out. Let's give Wizards of the Coast a shout out here. 4 commander decks in each release so far in 2023, 2024.
That's the main product now.
Yeah.
It is the main. Congratulations, everybody. Commander is the main product.
Welcome. Congratulations on 4 commander sets. Good job.
By the way, we're going to start talking about Standard being back pretty soon. We'll get into that in a minute. But all right, Outlaws at Thunder Junction. What are your initial thoughts on the set, Joshua?
So I was not big on Karlov Manor. You know this. We talked about this. I didn't dislike it, but it didn't speak to me. Yeah. I thought Outlaws was going to be something that did not speak to me. I'm ashamed to say I'm pretty legitimately excited for
What
Outlaw.
what are you excited about? Like, what's got your gears going?
Have you ever been really just like bored and put on a cowboy hat and looked at yourself in the mirror and just been like, I could pull this off?
No,
I could pull this
I have
off.
not.
Like, you're from West Virginia. You should get yourself a cowboy hat. And when you're feeling glum chum, just slap it on the dome and look at yourself and be like, I could do this. I actually don't hate the theme as much as I thought I would hate it. There are cards in there that look really good. There are things about the set that anger me. You know, the fact that there's 6 subsets. Yeah, I've been calling it 5. Someone reached out, one of my channel members, big shout out, you know who you are, reached out, was like, are you counting the list slot as a subset? And I was like, no, I'm not. There's not 5.
There's 6 different.
There's 6 subsets. So like that, I'm a little frustrated about. But like, I don't know, the couple cards we've seen that have been spoiled is fun. It's always cool to see like rotation on Arena and get some new cards in my hand. I'm down to open a new product. And again, the theme has not like been as disgusting as I thought it was going to be. I'm into it.
Can I make a wild statement?
No,
I like that they've been putting ward on things.
Ward?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Do you like that or not? This was apparently a pretty hot conversation. Shout out to my favorite content creator, Strictly Better Magic. I have
Strictly Better MTG.
I have a confession to make to you. George isn't here, so I'll say it. I downloaded Twitter again the other day. I just couldn't get away. I was bored. I was at the house. I was probably pooping, and I was like, "What do I do? There's nothing to do here." So I downloaded Twitter, and the first tweet that popped up was Dev talking about Ward. And I guess a bunch of people were complaining that they can't kill things in Commander with Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile anymore because everything has Ward. I was like, you know what? I like that. I like that you can't just cost get rid of stuff anymore in Commander. I like the Ward mechanic.
The big question, which always made things unplayable from I don't know if this is as true in Commander, but was like most things you had to untap with it for it to be meaningful, right? Yeah. And especially when it comes to Commander, how much cheap removal is at your disposal? Yeah, we could do a game like name removal 2 CMC and less, and we could go on for like the longest time.
The guys at my shop do that.
Yeah. Games like that are super fun. But like,
they're also getting really good at guess the card win the card, which is super annoying.
Well, it's costing you a lot of money.
I don't care about the money. I like when I do it and it's 20 seconds and they get the freaking card in 20 seconds. I'm like, what do you do with this video now? It's 20 seconds long.
Yeah, you never put on my guess the card win the card. Did I guess it too fast?
I guess I forgot. Oh yeah, that was at
it was at Magic. I was glad I saw it never popped up.
I guess I thought I posted it while we were there, and
I hope it. Maybe I missed it, but I hope I didn't. I hope it just never goes live.
The comment section is going to want that. Maybe I'll dig back and I'll put it right here in the video right now.
Please don't.
Probably won't because
that's a lot of editing work.
You know me, probably not, but yeah. I'll at least mark the time.
The big thing was untapping with your card and being able to actually use it. So Ward's a cool way to get around that, right? The problem is now you're creating an ecosystem where one day in Commander, if we keep up this design decision, like everything just has Ward. Everything has Ward. Your base cost for mana for removal is 3 now.
Until there's a more powerful Ward, right? You just keep adding numbers on it. Keep bumping it up. But
yeah, well when they do Ward, like Ward pay 3 life, Graveyard Trespasser, Ward discard a card. Stuff like that is super interesting, right? Yeah. Instead of just being a mana cost. And you get around things with, uncounterable spells. This can't be countered, gets around Ward. So there's ways around it. I don't know. I like your Ward take. Decent Ward take.
Yeah, Ward's a great mechanic. I think the set is going to be much, much more successful than Murders. I don't know. I'm not going to go out on the limb and say like play boosters are going to be more expensive or anything like that. I do think I don't love the way. So somebody brought up a really good point that maybe we discussed before, but not being able to get any commander cards in the play boosters is super interesting. It kind of like all the cards in the commander slot that used to be in the set boxes are no longer there. So for a commander player, there's really, there's some there's some cards that are good and whatever. But like from a commander perspective, there's a whole set of cards that you can't buy, you can't get in the play boosters. So why do you buy it?
Because there's 2 whole subsets of cards completely dedicated to Commander.
But all the commander cards created in this set
Yes.
are not there. I guess you can make me. I think a better argument than what you're making would be that commander player already bought the commander deck, so they already have every single card that's in that slot. That'd be a better argument. But
you have, if you're a commander player, you have a $200 or $150 or whatever it is, GameGrove.gg is selling the commander decks for. You have an outlet to get every single commander card from the set, right? And I'm a fan of that model.
That's good.
Commander sets. I don't like that. I don't like Magic as a packed and played. You get every card in the set per box, but for Commander, that's fine. It's not a Commander release. I'm fine with that, right? Mm-hmm. I really like that it has separated the products into lanes, and I'm not opposed to that. It helps the consumer. It helps me from this side of the counter. Yeah, how do I play Magic? Oh, if I play Magic this way, buy this product. And with 400,000 releases a year, it's safe to say I can find something at a pace that fits me in a number of sets that fits me. So I'm not opposed to that.
Mm-hmm. I disagree with your take that those other slots are commander, by the way. Like Thoughtseize is in here. That's not a commander card.
That's not a commander card?
No.
Oh, one was stolen my Sakashima and Viles Master deck because I like.
I mean, like it's not I guess it's not a terrible commander.
No, it's a
card.
Bad commander card.
But
I accept that, but it's fun to play.
It's not like I think there's other stuff in that slot too, though.
There are also things in that are commander cards.
Right.
Look at Enchanting Tales, right? That was just a run of commander cards.
Yeah, that's a run of commander cards.
Well, Special Guests in Lost Caverns of Ixalan was
run of commander cards.
Run of commander cards, right? And it probably won't, not every card, but like there's stuff in there for commander players.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that
hold on. We're not even allowed to advance it. Every creature that's meaningful in any way in the set is a legend, because that's how Magic the Gathering works.
What do we had? Well, we guess we only had a couple creatures revealed.
Yeah,
Homunculus.
Every creature that's why Esper Legends is an archetype in Standard right now, because it's just all of the best creatures and they're all legends for commander players. Like
the Tiny Bones card looks cool.
Tiny Bones looks sweet.
Anyway, I think that the theme of the set is much better. Like I don't think people like murder mysteries, to be honest. Also, I am now on board with the take that Murders at Carlisle Manor was just a New Capenna reskin.
Yeah,
like it was like the other card. They had a New Capenna take 2, and they just had to redo it. This seems like a more curated experience and a better set.
So here, let me ask you this: when we found out, do you remember your initial reaction to Thunder Junction?
Yeah, I still don't think Wild West is a great.
No. Like you personally disliked it very much,
mm-hmm.
and me, I memed. I was like, "No, it's gonna be great, rootin' tootin' Cowboys." But I was also like,
right.
I don't understand it. Now that we've seen some of it, it has quickly grown on me. It's quickly grown on me.
Yeah, it seems good. I don't think play boosters are going to work for it, though. I still don't think there's enough in the play booster. Like I'm there. Like, and you've got MVP Sports and More as the bottom price already. Like it's obviously not selling well through distro. One of my distros was like, "Hey man, be careful ordering. You're getting everything that you're asking for." Like there. And
shout out to the homie for letting you know.
There was, I think I shared it with you guys. There was an MVP.
The
article that came out. I don't remember where I shared it, but there's an MVP article that came out that was essentially like, demand is way down for it, and play boosters. And they even went through and they tracked all the prices. Where did I put that? Do you remember?
So I don't remember. Was that the one that you put in tanking?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look for it. Yeah, there it is.
You created a channel called Tanking. You posted a screenshot and then
didn't say anything about it.
Offered us no explanation.
Classic Louis.
Yeah.
So it's just like this article, this graphic.
I do want you to know I was ready for you.
Where like everything is just down, like across the board. Like I don't know. I don't know even how to explain their giant spreadsheet of. Let
me ask you this, because like from a community perspective, not from the store, I have been standing on my soapbox on my tiny little YouTube channel, screaming into the ether that the model is broken because the store has to overpay for boxes. There's not enough meat on the bone for the store. Your margins aren't big enough. You can't sell at those prices. That's where it's broken. However, from my seat, Murders at Carlisle Manor play boosters are what? 110?
Yeah,
One time.
sure.
Okay. What if I just called it a draft box?
Yeah, but so I agree of your logic. You're saying right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's a better deal for consumers.
No, no,
That
no.
the
I'm not.
market tanking is a good thing for consumers. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, no, no. I'm saying, hey, I want to play Magic the Gathering, but I always hear people screaming about the play booster box.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate it. And they just made it more expensive. Well, the one example that we've seen, it's actually not more expensive. It's comparable in price. And the argument you could tell me
Even less than some draft boxes.
You could tell me that this is a bad set, which the history of TCGs, we complain about bad sets and they don't sell. I'm fine with that. But if we see the second play booster settle around this price, we just see it's almost like we have a problem with either the design of the sets or the name of the product. Like we just hate change.
Yeah, I mean,
from our perspective, it's not broken. That
right now you're almost 10% less on TCG Player than at distro costs.
100%
for consumers.
Right.
So I think Murders. I don't want to poo-poo your take because I think it's a valid statement. I think Murders is just a bad example because the set itself is so god awful.
But that's the way it should be, right? A bad set shouldn't sell. When Wizards designs a bad set, it does poorly.
But I don't even know somebody who wants to be like, hey, let's draft $100 box of Murders because it's just not a fun set. Even like the limited, in my opinion, the limited's not even fun.
Oh, I have no problem. I just like Magic Draft though, so I'm jaded.
Yeah,
doesn't count.
I thought it was too convoluted personally, but maybe I'm just bad at Magic.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right because you can't. It seems like gone are the days of just like sitting down, having a beer, and drafting a Magic set calmly because you have to read. There's so much going on.
I don't think gone are the days of that. Like I think I guess Kamigawa was almost 2 years ago now, I guess. Yeah. But like Kamigawa, you were there for that draft in Chicago, right? Like we drafted that, had fun.
That was my friends. I invited you, buddy.
Okay, Peter, let me know in the comment section if we're still friends or not. But I guess.
Oh, Peter, you know what to say.
Didn't you tell me that I knew Peter before you at the con?
No.
Didn't we?
No.
Okay. I just think like Murders, on top of not even being that fun of a limited experience too, like from a box opening experience, you're just pissing away half your money. Even at $105 a box, the EV can't be more than $55 right now. I mean, there's nothing in it. Like even
there's nothing that's seeing play. There's no like big chase hit, especially in the play booster.
I think that Magic's biggest mistake with play boosters, by and large, their biggest mistake in play boosters was putting it in the Murders of Karlov Manor set as the first one.
Yeah.
That was a huge, massive ball drop that will take some sets to get back to.
So think Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Would have been a complete
if the set
banger.
Booster was essentially a play booster, that product would be
banger. We would be buying Murders at Karlov Manor pre-release play booster boxes for $175 on TCG Player. Right?
And we'd be getting that's what we in the keister. Yeah, we would.
No, it would have wrecked it. It would have wrecked it. Thank God.
It.
I guess from a consumer perspective, thank God, right? Like, thank God the consumer didn't get completely monarched.
Completely housed.
Right? But like I think at the end of the day that would have been I don't know.
I guess it makes me optimistic because everything we're talking about takes me back to my favorite. Magic the Gathering goes through many timelines. My favorite version of a Magic the Gathering timeline is when good sets are good and bad sets don't do well. I'm not a big fan of like.
Yeah, that's fair.
The ultra premium is what pumps, or this has like the best reprints. It's like Lost Caverns of Ixalan had some reprints, and don't get me wrong, there's some great stuff. But like by and large, that's just a good set, and it does well, right? Wilds of Eldraine went on a run when it was just a really fun and good set. It didn't settle as high as something like LCI, but still did really well. I am for the timeline where, let's say, Outlaws comes out. There's just a lot of playable cards. Everyone likes, the theme grows on people, and it does well. And then the next set, Bloomburrow does bad. I think it'll probably be in the opposite order. But like,
yeah, I think Bloomburrow's the next Magic set. I think that would be true.
The next standard set. I like that. I like when our game works that way.
So, and I think this is a testament to Magic. What Magic's. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been trying to vocalize this into a video at some point. But Magic's IP is the gameplay. Like the thing. I was thinking about I sent you guys a video of somebody doing something with Pokemon. They were like.
I'm still gonna watch that today. Yeah,
it was what was it? It was them. They were seeing if they could hold. They were seeing if they could work out with the weight of the Pokemon that Ash was carrying. Right. So like Ash is holding a 16-pound bird on his arm.
Yeah.
Could the guy
Can I stick my arm out like this? Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, why doesn't Magic have, like, Magic's been around longer, it's got, you know, rich whatever, why doesn't Magic have that? And my answer is, like, Magic's IP is sitting across the table and playing games with your friends. That is the thing that people connect to with Magic, not necessarily the characters and the development of the storyline and that kind of stuff. That's like I think, like, so anyway, I can't verbalize it here either, because it's I can't verbalize.
Sure.
But like, a successful Magic set is a set that people are excited to play. It doesn't have to do with necessarily, like, it then adds value, right? But like, Murders of Carlisle Manor didn't have that value in terms of being a successful set that people wanted to play cards from. So I think that'll be the big take for that. I think this will do better. I don't think it'll be the set of the year, though. I don't think this will be a set that we, like, look back on, like Lost Caverns we look back on, or Kamigawa we look back on. This will be a stepping stone set, and hopefully it's a set that they tested some new things that they can. I don't know if they printed Bloomborough yet. I don't know if they printed the Duskmorn yet, but hopefully those two sets by the end of the year they get the play booster experience figured out, and it's a better experience for everybody.
I think so, and again, I think it's going to boil down to, you know, what sets do we take to? What's the Magic set? Is it Duskmorn? Mm-hmm. Is that the last set of the year?
I think so, yeah.
I kind of vocalized. I like to flesh out my ideas for future videos and do, like, a trial run at the end of other videos when a thought crosses my mind. Mm-hmm. It's like Duskmorn is, like, the only Magic the Gathering feeling Magic set coming out this year. Like, Bloomborough,
I think Bloomborough has it too, but I see why you don't.
It doesn't have it. I think Bloomborough is going to be more popular than I thought it was going to be when I saw the announcement, but it doesn't feel necessarily like Wilds of Eldraine. The first one didn't necessarily feel as Magic the Gathering as previous sets had, and now I've evolved and be like, oh, Wilds of Eldraine feels very Magic the Gathering. Yeah. I think Bloomborough will get there for me, but, like, sitting where I sit right now, Duskmorn is, like, the one set that feels like a Magic together. Like, it feels like a Phyrexian set, or like Ravnica and Jaces and stuff like that. It feels like a Magic set in that way.
Well, the Murder set and this set both feel like the opposite of Universes Beyond, right? It feels like Magic is going into a murder show.
Oh, see,
it feels like Magic is going into Clue. It feels like Magic is going into Red Dead Redemption.
I like that. I did a video today about, like, Universes Beyond infecting Magic design principles, because it seems like when you make a Universes Beyond set, the whole set is, like, themed.
Yeah.
It seems like instead of designing for the Magic storyline, we're taking the principle of designing sets around a theme and then doing that in the Magic universe. So it's like the Universes Beyond way we design those sets is actually infecting the way that we design Magic IP sets now.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah.
So it's just interesting to hear you say that. I had that same exact thought today.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this will be a fine set. As a store, I ordered less of it than I ordered at Murders of Carlisle Manor, but I ordered way too much Murders of Carlisle Manor because I took the idea that, like, hey, the first play booster, they're not going to let it fail. Got that one wrong. 100%. Luckily, I didn't lose my shirt, and I was able to sell boxes at probably a loss on TCG Player. But like at the end of the day, I think Outlaws will do better than Murders, but won't be the set of the year. I think people will miss this one. I think people will just be like, I'm saving money for MH3. Like, why would you not save your money for MH3 right now? Right?
Yeah.
Like, compared to this.
I don't know. I'm annoyed by MH3. But, like, listen, the standard sets, everyone complains about the price of Magic, right? Having a set where you can go buy a booster box for $110 is not the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what those people are complaining about. Like, are they complaining about not being, because, like, the problem is, are they just complaining about not being able to get the cards they want for Commander?
No,
is that the problem?
No, it's the shelf price. It's the feeling when you walk in a store and everyone's talking about MH3 and your barrier for entry for MH3 is $290 for the cheapest booster box, right?
Right. Like, I agree, but then the market says the problem is Wizards, like, oh, the problem is Wizards, right? Like the problem is Wizards because the consumer says they don't want to pay $300 a box for MH3, but Wizards puts all this bangers of cards in MH3,
100%.
and then the EV of MH3 is $450 a box, and so the consumers buy the box at $300 and make money and win. And it just is never ending cycle.
Some do, but remember, we've talked about this before. Some can't. Some it's not even an option.
Yeah,
it's far fewer percentage of people walk around with $300 in their pocket than do with $110 in their pocket, right?
It just prices people out.
100%. And I've often said this has kind of been the hill I'm willing to die on. Is like the worst sets, in my opinion, are the ones without some kind of affordable point of entry, right? Some kind, and even premium sets. Look, I know we talk about Lord of the Rings a lot, but look at Lord of the Rings, right? Premium set, everything was more expensive, but you could have a Lord of the Rings draft experience, have a ton of fun with a group of people, and while it was more expensive, it didn't price most people out.
Right.
MH3, I think looks to almost double the price of a draft box for Lord of the Rings. I think is it over $300 right now? Like
probably. I don't remember. I think
it's all going to settle. It's way too early. Yeah, it's going to settle at something. But like Commander Masters was a prime example of this. There's nobody that thinks Commander Masters like, oh, I don't want a single card from Commander Masters. No, it's got something for every Commander player, but there's no affordable point to entry. And it's a 4-pack collector box.
I don't know. It's like you have the affordable part for entry with any draft product. Like Commander Masters draft, you can draft for $40.
No, I'm saying like to buy a box. Like we've talked just to buy.
Like listen, buying a box that is not the average Magic consumer anymore. The average Magic consumer doesn't buy a booster box of the newest Magic set.
And that happens because it's so much more expensive now.
I don't know that that's been the average Magic consumer ever though. Like you think that that's always been the average Magic consumer? They bought a full box of the newest set?
I think for the people that are going from set to set to set, yes. But for people that are coming in and coming out and embracing the Coxian, not everything is for you, no.
I think the average Magic consumer buys I think they buy singles. I think they buy a couple packs at their LGS on pre-release night. They buy their pre-release kit.
I want to talk about the average Magic consumer that pertains to the conversation. You know, the people buying the product, the people that are never going to buy the product.
Well, but the problem is I think Wizards identifies that. And I think that's the reason that they're putting like the commander decks in every set now, because the average Magic consumer will buy a commander deck. And if you're a store owner, that's great. Like I made the 30% profit margin or whatever I want to make.
And the player gets an out of the box play experience.
That doesn't feel bad when you open it and lose half your money.
See, I disagree. I don't like that.
What do you mean?
The idea that no gambling, like the Commander Precons. When you open most Commander Precons, very rarely do you come out ahead. And if it's the case that the Commander Precons, the cards in them are pumping, that deck either becomes more expensive or your store parts them all out for singles.
So it depends on it vastly depends on your like what does EV count as? Like if you go every card, almost every Commander Precon ever is still positive EV if you're selling the 10-cent cards. So it's like the question is what do you do with it, right? Do you just pull out 3 cards? Probably not worth it. But if you're using the deck, you're valuing every card. It's usually a higher, than what you're buying it for.
Yeah, I mean, but then I think if you're valuing every single card out of the booster box, including the 10-cent cards, and you're selling the lands for 5 cents each on TCG Player, I think we'd say the same thing about a Murders at Karlov Manor play booster box, right? Like,
yeah, I guess the experience is different, right? Like, because you can't use it right out of the box. I guess you can build a deck out of the Karlov Manor play booster box.
Yeah, especially like you 100% can build a commander deck out of a Karlov Manor play booster box.
But the expectation that the consumer goes into with that purchase is much different. The expectation 100%. When you buy a booster box is that you're gambling, right? And when you buy a Murders at Karlov Manor play booster box, it's almost like you can never win the gamble. There's not even like there's no sorcerer's stone that you can hit that makes it all worth it. Which is, frankly, we'll get into the indie TCGs in a little bit in the podcast, but this is why I think indie TCGs and newer TCGs, sorry, I didn't mean to throw in the indies, but like, this is why sorcery, this is why One Piece, this is why Star Wars, this is why all these games are seeing so much emphasis on the booster box because the consumers that wanted that are coming in and picking that up, and they're having a different experience than they're having with Magic. But we'll get into that later. Interesting though, have you seen Commander Masters draft boxes lately? Check the link for Commander Masters draft box. They're like way up. So like
check the link for Commander.
No, just like look up Commander Master draft boxes on TCG Player. Like they tanked on release. Everybody was mad, and like now everyone's buying them. And I saw they pulled $700 out of a Commander Masters draft box earlier this week. So
yeah, I mean it's still down from its release, right? But we said this before, it's going to settle somewhere where people are comfortable.
Yeah, I guess I had a weird graph pulled up, but yeah, I mean it's still on its way up. Like the market has accepted now the current price point and is. And so the market will do that for all the sets, is what I'm saying.
It's interesting when you look at like the sell-through rate of something like Commander Masters. It still sells in pretty decent numbers every month, and it correlates. I got to grab it. It correlates as the price goes up. It sells fewer boxes. The price corrects a little bit. It sells more. It's constantly like doing this. Like it's bumping up against its ceiling and what it wants to be.
There was a while there where distro didn't have boxes, and I know like I thought about buying a couple boxes from TCG Player just because people still want to do Commander Masters drafts. We had actually randomly had a Commander Legends draft fire off the other night, just people hanging out like, hey, let's do a Commander draft, 4-player pod of Commander Legends. So this kind of stuff, I think for stores too, like there's a perspective that the market hits a certain bottom. You're like, oh, I'll buy some boxes. Yeah, if they're below distro price because I need them and whatever. So
yeah, it's actually ironic. Commander Masters had its best month. Like the draft booster box post release had its best month in November of 2023. It sold almost 200 draft boxes in that month when the price was averaged at its all-time low of $198. Like people, it's a product that people want. They have just rejected the price point.
It'll be interesting to see what MH3 has and what it does for that. I don't know. MH3 is the wild card of the year.
Yeah, I'm mad about it. I'm salty. I'm a salty sailor.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Standard being back.
Standard is back, baby.
But is it? So the article, I found the article. It was from May of last year. So it's almost 2 years. We're like 10 months in. How has Wizards done at bringing Standard back? That's the question we're asking.
I want to ask. You're a game store owner. I'm asking you that question. Every one of our conversations revolves around exactly what happens in your game store in West Virginia. So I want to ask you, is Standard back, baby? Knowing darn well that you have never fired a Standard event.
That's not true. We fire our Standard events every now and then we have Standard every Thursday night. And some people show up. But our store championships are Standard all the time. So we just recently had our store championship. This was 3 weeks ago.
There's because Wizards of the Coast might be listening. They're Standard, right?
They have to be. Like you can't even like on Event Link. You can't even say like you can't even schedule it for anything else.
No, I know, but if you've got 12 people that are going to come, and you know them all. I've known small stores in Wisconsin that I won't name that are like, hey, we always have 12 people. We can't run Standard because people won't do it. Our store championship is Standard.
Yeah. The problem is like what happens if you were to do that, what happens when somebody who doesn't go to your store shows up for your store championship and they're like, hey, I'm here to play Standard.
That doesn't happen. Yeah.
Well, that happens for us. So we do the right thing and we run the event. So we had people actually show up who had never played in a Standard event in the store.
Yeah.
But who had been in the store and they built a deck just to win the promo. So I will say this, Wizards is doing a good job at trying to get Standard to come back.
Yep.
Like they are doing the right things, right? They are making store championships have to be Standard, even though I hate it that it has to be Standard because I would much rather do Pauper. My store we'd have 30 people at the Pauper one if store championship it was Pauper. Even though I would prefer that, that is a good way to make Standard. And then they're doing the Standard Showdown thing right now, which they have like cool promos that are supposedly supposed to get people to come play Standard. It doesn't work though. It doesn't. I mean, they're doing the right stuff. It doesn't work, at least not in our area.
I mean, it's gonna like you said, there are more people playing Standard today than there were a year ago in paper.
That's probably true.
So I don't think you can change a format that has in paper been dead for, what would you say, 3 years, 4 years at least.
Yeah, at least since before the pandemic.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you can change that overnight. I think it's going to be a slow process. So I like the direction they're taking. But I want to ask you, Commander aside, what is the most played one-on-one format if it's not standard? So we're a year out from standard.
Canadian Highlander.
Okay.
No, just joking. It's got to be standard.
I think it's got to be, and I think Wizards of the Coast said it's standard in their article.
It's got to be standard. I did look up an article though, trying to find this. Where did I put it? Where they were looking at the different. I don't know. That's not it. But it would go standard. According to them, it would go standard, pioneer, modern, which I guess you would expect based on the cost of entry for the events or for the formats. But I don't know. Like, honestly, like my area's no store in my area runs a weekly modern event. No store in my area runs a weekly pioneer event.
I think someone in the comment section last week, by the way, from West Virginia, pointed out that they're near you and they go to a weekly modern event with a bunch of people.
They may have said they were in. The only one I would say would be in is 3 hours away. It's in over where the college is, West Virginia WVU.
I don't know where any of that is. I found the article here. Wizards of the Coast does claim that standard is the most played paper format.
That doesn't surprise me.
But in their banned and restricted announcement.
What I would love to know is what are those numbers? Like,
oh, you'll never get them.
Yeah, I know, but like, how did those numbers compare to how many people play Lorcana? Because most stores in my area are running Lorcana events. Most stores in my area are running. A lot of stores in my area are running Star Wars events now. It's been a week, but like there are other TCGs running. I bet you the number of standard players is like, it would shock us compared to the number of Lorcana. Like, it wouldn't be like a 30x or, you know what I mean?
Oh, I don't think so.
It would.
But there's one way to play Lorcana. There's 40 ways to play Magic. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's just it's interesting that they seem still committed to the bringing back like one-on-one paper Magic. There's been a lot of focus on the Pro Tour. There's a lot of conversation on like the Pro Tour and whether it should be at Magic Cons or something. And the decision to put it at a Magic Con, right, instead of making it its own event, is something I like. I think it's,
or is it that like they can't get that enough people to it to have it be its own event?
They used to make it its own event when it wasn't like open. There wasn't like an event surrounding it. They just, if you were playing in the Pro Tour and they were the Pro Tour posse, you went. Otherwise, you didn't, right?
Gotcha.
Putting it front and center, I think they're taking all the right steps. I think it's going to take time. It's never, we should be clear, neither of us think it's ever going to return to some glory days where it's like everyone is playing one Magic the Gathering for. That's never going to happen.
So my take on this is that this cannot happen while Universes Beyond is the biggest set of the year. You cannot have Standard be your flagship format while Universes Beyond is your flagship product, and those don't merge.
I don't think they want Standard to be the flagship format. I think they clearly, very clearly and obviously want Commander to be the flagship format. So
then it can't work then. Like if they are not promoting Standard as the flagship format the flagship way to play Magic the Gathering. If Commander is the flagship way to play Magic the Gathering, then why do they not, like, why even do this whole like push to get people to play Standard? Then what's the point?
First of all, Commander doesn't lend itself well to events, right? Like, it's casual in-person for fun play. You all sit around the table and try to convince each other you're not actually trying to win. It doesn't.
So what's the purpose of an event? From that perspective, what's the purpose of
because people like to chew on the bone in different ways. Not everybody just likes to sit around in a pod and pretend you're not trying to. Some people like to have like a back and forth and that competitive nature and try to do some.
The point of an event is to have the competitive nature and a winner. That's the point of an event.
Well, the point of an event is it's a different experience. I wouldn't even say it's to be the winner. I go to events all the time, in no way expecting to be the winner, but it's a different experience. It's fun. It's a puzzle. Why do people do Rubik's Cubes? It's a puzzle.
Right, but so going to my point is that from my perspective, the point of an event would be to get people in the store. Like that's the point of an event. The point of any Magic event that I want to run is to get people into the store. That's the reason I do it.
I mean,
And
sure.
We have 2 Commander nights a week, and we have 20 to 30 people in our store every week playing Commander. So like from that perspective, that's a great way to do it. I don't agree with it. I think it's frustrating that Magic doesn't focus on a 2-player format, because I think we've talked about this. Commander players are bad. They're bad at the game. Well,
it's not Magic. It's not Magic.
Yeah.
But
here's my problem. Here's my problem with them pushing standard, quote unquote. They can't push standard while the flagship thing is Commander. And because of all that, they won't ever correctly push standard. They won't print things that make sense for standard. They won't do the things that you and I say what we want them to do, because they have a monopoly on Commander. There's no competition for Commander.
It doesn't have to be the flagship thing. This is where we disagree. Wizards of the Coast never is going to... They've accepted that Commander will always be the most popular way to play Magic the Gathering until the end of time, most likely. I don't think that'll ever turn. However, something I've always said is Magic has what? How many millions, depending on our mood on the day, how many millions do we say Magic the Gathering has in this podcast episode? I think we've said 20 million, 10 million, and 50 million all in the air. So pick some number in there. They realize that people are going to attack this thing in different ways. There are people who collect Magic the Gathering. That's a viable way to approach Magic the Gathering, as all I do is collect it, right? All I do is buy my favorite Planeswalker. Heck, all I do is buy squirrels, whatever it might be. They are giving people a new way, or trying to revitalize a way people used to attack Magic the Gathering. It does not have to be the flagship format. It does not have to be the best format in the entire universe. We see this with Pauper. Magic the Gathering will constantly downshift cards into common to make them available in Pauper. They're not doing that because they want to boost Pauper to be the best format. They want to give that portion of the community something. Standard had nothing. It was completely dead, and every Standard release was just a Commander release. This is Wizards of the Coast saying, hey, we're going to make something for you too. And a side benefit of that is Standard product is now more versatile and sells better. How
are they doing that? How are they doing that? Because what you said 20 minutes ago in the podcast is that you hate that they're making every product for Commander with play booster boxes. You said that there's only legendary creatures that are Commander.
Hold on, Boo Boo. Those are the legendary creatures in those sets are from sets that were before the announcement of bringing back Standard. They have made creatures not legendary in recent sets coming up to Murders and probably Outlaws. There will still be. They are going to give stuff to satiate Commander players. They're going to give legendary creatures in there that aren't meaningful. Why? Because they still have to sell boxes to Commander players. But they have pulled back in that design for the reason of revitalizing Standard. It's all about the balance. They 100% have done that. Look at the Standard metagame, right? Esper Legends this time last year was all of the metagame because it was just all of the best cards. Mm-hmm. We have gotten so many things that are not Commander cards, not legendary, that show a change in design, at least an attempt to give us something else to play with. I don't know, saying that every card now, because I was talking about when we printed Rafine in Streets of New Capenna, like I don't think that's accurate. And yes,
I think that they are doing a lot of things to introduce stores to host events, right? They're doing a lot of things to incentivize stores to host events.
Sure.
They're not doing anything to incentivize players to invest in cards.
You just said people who never play at your store come to try to win the promos.
Like 5 people. We had 8 people show up to our Standard event. We have 22 to 30 people.
Zero. That's more than the zero that you get without the promos.
Like they don't come to the Standard tournament to practice. It's just because of they just did this thing. Like if they want to get people to play Standard, they need to put code cards in play booster packs. Yes.
Are they doing the best and everything? No.
That is the only way that they can get people to come back to Standard. Until that happens, there is no reason for somebody to invest the time and energy to play to Standard, because there's not enough events that will be fired.
Except for the promos that people are traveling to your store to try to win. Like, they're not doing everything they can. It's not perfect, and they're not blowing the doors off, but they are taking steps. I mean, you said it. You have people coming in. You're firing standard events right now. Before their announcement of revitalizing standard, you fired exactly.
We are sometimes. I said we are sometimes.
Okay. Well, before that announcement, you fired exactly 0.
We fire Pauper. My point is, we fire Pauper every single week with lots of people.
You also champion that. You have built decks. You talk about it all the time.
You can't do that for standard.
You 100% can.
No.
Yes, you can. I built 3 standard. I'm just a guy, and I built 3 standard decks for MagicCon. I could build a new standard deck a week if I wanted. You can. It's just more difficult.
Because for a Pauper deck, I can build 50 Pauper decks and no one's going to steal a damn card from it. No one's going to go in and borrow the deck and steal a card from it. I build a standard deck. What do you want me to do? Put like shielders in there? There's a $500 deck. And people are just
there are decks in standard that don't have a shieldred. There is a $500 deck. There's a $98 deck too.
Sure, that's still twice as much as most of the Pauper decks will cost me.
That is not twice as much as your Pauper decks. And also, I looked at ordering like 5 Pauper decks. They were $55 to $60 each,
which is roughly twice as
$90 is not twice as much.
Roughly half the price of a $95 deck you just said.
No, I said a $90 deck because I think the price is $88 on TCG Player.
Okay,
so I gave it $90. Sure, your halves are off.
They're rough. So. I just think
most of you is
they're doing a lot to do it, but if they want to see it back in a meaningful way that competes with the other games that they are now competing with, they have to listen. I guess they don't have to. They don't need to have standard.
The other games that they're now competing with, what are you talking about?
Lorcana, all the other games. For a one-on-one format, they are now competing with all these other games.
All those other games have one way to play the game.
I'm saying if they want standard to be back, they are competing with those players.
They don't want standard to be the one way to play one-on-one Magic.
But Josh, you're not hearing me. If they want standard to be back, if that's something that they actually want to do, they are competing now with all the other one-on-one player games.
They're not.
Okay, you can just disagree with that
because everybody who plays Magic doesn't play the other indie TCGs or whatever.
I can tell you, the vast majority of people who I talk to who are interested in playing one-on-one Magic, if standard or modern, are also already now playing the other games because those events fire. They build it. They spend $600 on a deck for Lorcana. They're not spending $600 on a deck for Lorcana. They spend $600 on a one-piece deck. They show up to the event and it fires, and there's people to play One Piece with. There's nobody to play standard with. They show up. They build a Star Wars deck, and people show up to play.
Again, you're still not comparing apples to apples.
Why?
Because you're comparing one-on-one in Lorcana, one-on-one in Star Wars, one-on-one in One Piece, which is a single format because the community is smaller, to one-on-one in Magic, which just off the top of our heads, there's 5 or 6 one-on-one formats we can name. And you are boiling that all down to it has to be standard. If this is a conversation of
Wizards is.
No.
They are saying that they want to get
that is not true. The Pro Tour was just Pioneer. They're not saying the only way you can play one-on-one Magic is standard.
But they're saying that for store championships, they're saying they want to get standard back. That is the point of the conversation.
For store championships to try to diversify the one-on-one formats and get people to buy standard booster products, which in 2023 and 2024 are the worst selling booster products, standard booster boxes. Duh. Of course they are. But they are not saying that this has to be the one way to play one-on-one Magic. Nobody's saying that but you.
Okay.
That's not how I read their Magic.
That's not how I read their article or what they are saying to do. That their focus.
Then why wasn't the Pro Tour standard?
The Pro Tour hasn't been just standard ever. The Pro Tour has always been a mixture of different things, right?
Because they want to diversify that audience. Okay. Because they don't want a one-on-one that has to be everyone has to play this. The only reason they're making you do that for your store championship is the push for standard, to try to bring it back to a healthy enough level where they can leave it alone again, just like they do everything else.
So I disagree with that. I think the reason they're doing that is because standard is the entry level to one-on-one formats. You can get people to play standard again. You'll get them to play Pioneer eventually. You'll get them to play Modern eventually. If they
why isn't Pauper the entry level for one-on-one?
Because they don't care about Pauper because they didn't sell boxes. Just the same reason they don't care about Legacy or Vintage or any other format that doesn't sell boxes.
They don't care about Legacy or Vintage because it's got the accessibility issue that we talked about, right?
Sure, but they don't care about
reasonable
because
human can accept.
It doesn't do a single thing for them, so they don't care about it. Of course not. They never have. But like, the point is that if they want people coming back, but here's my honest take, Josh, is that they don't care about one-on-one formats. They have a monopoly on Commander. No game can ever compete with them. Because they have a monopoly on Commander.
That hyperbole that you present this with is the part that gets ridiculous. You can't say they don't care about one-on-one formats because they would have put no effort into ever bringing Standard back. They do. Is it their primary concern?
I think they only do that because of the community backlash. That would be my
what community backlash? Nobody was sitting there pounding the table screaming for Standard.
Not just for Standard, but for organized play events. And the point is that they can't get those organized play events happening if they don't have an entry level for people to play one-on-one formats.
You just said Standard is inaccessible because decks are $500. I'm so confused.
I don't know what you're arguing, dude. I don't know what you're arguing.
My argument is that one-on-one formats are never going to be the primary way to play Magic the Gathering. And Wizards of the Coast knows that. However, they are trying to appeal to that portion of their community because Magic is deeper than just Commander. And I think it's a move to respect that version of the community, that area of the community. Why else? It's not making them more money.
Sure. We're saying
it's not helping them in any way.
We're saying the same thing. Answer the question, Standard's not back.
It's more back than it was at this time last year. You went from 0 events to some events.
Sure. Standard went from 0 to 10%. That's what
you fired 10% of your events,
if that.
Then you pushing back saying we fire Standard seems a little bit ostentatious.
I said we sometimes fire Standard, and we have people who show up to events and they sit there and they end up playing Commander because 3 or 4 people show up.
Just play with each other,
and every time they show up, there's 3 or 4 pods of people playing Commander, ready to play. Yeah, more people show up for our CEDH night than we do for our Standard night.
You ran a CEDH night.
We do CEDH night every Tuesday.
This is so fun. I am gonna laugh when the Magic community is like, you know what? We just want to solve the puzzle. We want something a little competitive, and they're spending thousands of dollars on CEDH section. Like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the way.
I think Magic has a monopoly on Commander, and they don't care about one-on-one formats as a result.
I think then the last year of announcements and where they have been putting their energy is very interesting. Then they must really be the worst company of all time.
So where did they put their energy then? You're saying that the boxes are better than they were?
The shape of the box and the cards coming out of the box have changed. Also, did they pay someone to write the article about bringing Standard back? Did they pay someone to design the cards and pick the promos? Like, I don't care. You're going to argue that Commanders, it's not the most. Yeah, no one's saying that. But they put energy there. Someone at that company put some kind of resource and energy towards that. And for you're hyperbolic, they don't care about it at all. It's weird to put any energy towards it then.
Okay.
It's a weird move. When I don't care about something, I don't put any energy towards it.
Okay. We can disagree. We can agree to disagree. Let's go on to the other TCGs. Beta EV. All right. So first I want to talk about the event because it was fun.
You had a how many people?
We had 37, I think. I think 37, unless the event doesn't count drops. I think it's 37.
Okay.
In the event, which is kind of disappointing that we were sold out for 3 weeks and then 12 people just didn't email. Shout out to those 12 people. If you didn't email me and let me know that you weren't coming to the event, a big old screw you to you because you probably missed out on people. There's probably people who didn't come to the event as a result of you farting in your seat and then walking away.
This is a lesson that you don't get because everybody only plays Commander now, and this used to be common knowledge. So here, let me help you out. You still go to an event like this, and then you have fun. You play side events. You do, but then when someone drops, you're like,
say that.
You're like, there's a slot. Like I pick it up. You still go.
Yeah, we had fun. We had a good time.
The stream was good. It looked good, dude.
Stream was great. Shout out to the team at the Sorceries Gamblers Club, to Paparazzi for doing all the streaming stuff. He was amazing. They have a cool setup, dude. They're like really, it's pretty cool. Like they're trying to do some big things and they want to do some stuff for the community. It's pretty cool. This is my favorite time for TCGs, when the community is just like all in. They're just
Figuring it
like,
out.
they're just, hey, how can I help? What can I
Solving
do?
the problems. Yeah.
Everybody who was there was just like a judge call, and both people were like, hey, like, we're not upset. This happened. We're working on it. What's the best way to handle it? Like, nobody's sweaty, right?
Yep.
Like, we're before that like sweaty mess of TCG world where people are just nasty. And everybody just wants to help the community grow and wants
You're
to
not the world's most competitive TCG.
no.
Wow.
So it's cool. I'm really excited about it. And people are just, they're just hyped. They're just excited. They're just excited to hang out and play games together. Like, it's such a win. So it was good. So did a lot of boxes, like people cracking open beta. I think we had like 3 alpha boxes and packs just ripped, and there was a foil, 2 foil cores, alpha cores pulled.
Nice.
2, like 3. One guy pulled 2 different Death Dealers, which was crazy. Which is the big Frazetta artwork.
Did you get him a deal?
The loser, the second place guy, got a beta box and pulled a foil Philosopher's Stone that I ended up buying. So
It didn't leave the door.
no. So it was fun. It was good. It was everybody had a good time.
I know that recently you said you're not Rudy, but you didn't work out a deal where anybody who cracks something cool can send it to Rudy to get graded.
No, I did not. I don't have a grading company because I, like Rudy, also don't believe in new grading companies. So because I watched the Rudy video where he was like, hey, new grading companies don't count.
Yeah, but I bet you could have been like, hey, I'm going to send you everything cool that's pulled this week to grade.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a good time.
Grease the squeaky wheel, get a higher grade for your customers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was really good. It was a success. I'm excited. We're gonna do so there's a big group of people in Columbus, there's a big group of people in Pittsburgh, so I try to connect with them and be like, hey, let's run like a 1K or something like that in a couple months to kind of get another bigger tournament at the shop. And then I think for Arthurian Legends, I'm going to try to do a similar event that's going to be like a release party. Just like anybody who's willing to make a drive. Like, we had people come from Arkansas, we had people come from Florida. Like, the 2 winners, the 2 top places were 2 brothers from Florida, which was wild. Like, they played everybody else all day and then ended up at the top table playing each other.
Was it collusion?
No,
was there brotherly?
No, we didn't let anybody drop or whatever that thing that you competitive players do. Drives me freaking nuts. What was that called, where you don't win, you intentionally draw to make sure that you both get in the top? What's that called?
It's called drawing.
Yeah,
you said it.
We didn't allow any of that any of that crap, any of that shenanigans. That's the worst. At our CDH tournament, the jerk did that.
No, it's easily,
so
I hate that meta 100%.
Yeah, I was so pissed. Like, the top table in Swiss all drew so that nobody else can make it to the top table.
100% hate that.
You're a bunch of wusses. Like, you're a bunch of wusses, and I don't respect you. That's basically what I said to them.
Yeah, no, I hate that.
I apologize.
That's a great take.
So anyway, it was super cool. It was fun. Yeah, we're gonna do something for Arthurian Legends, though. That's what I'm. Like,
you have to. It's got to be, if you old school TCG feel, you got to go back to the midnight release.
Oh, that would be fun. That might be rough. That might be rough for people who have to drive, though, because it'd be Thursday night, because Friday night release.
Make it happen. Midnight releases are so cool, dude. I miss midnight releases.
I'm glad we don't do them as a game store anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure now that you own a store, I've never had to own a store. I got to go for fun. And the best was, like, in the Chicagoland area, the same store they'd have a midnight release. Then the next day they'd have like a 2 p.m., a 6 p.m. and a 10 p.m.
Slackers. You got to do the midnight release, the 6 a.m. release, the noon release, the 6 p.m. release, and then the double midnight release.
It was just really cool. You go to the midnight release and they'd be like, all right, so everyone coming back? Yep.
Yeah, I remember those days. That was fun.
And then, like, by the third event, you're like, I've drafted this set 3 times. This was before, like, the arena and online days. You're like, I am a pro.
Yeah.
I am so much better than you at this product that you are looking at for the first time.
Yeah, so it was cool. It was fun to hang out with everybody. Shout out to Ron, Paparazzi, all the people. I'm gonna miss all the shout outs, but you're all amazing.
You know what? I'll shout out to everybody who helped at the event, because I tuned in the stream for the 5 minutes I had free that weekend and said hi. I saw 0 foil sharks, so I left.
There was a foil shark pulled. I sent it to you, so that's a lie.
And then I asked how much, and you didn't respond to my text.
It wasn't for sale.
Well, then I'm not interested in it.
It was cool. It was fun. It was a big win. I would do it every day.
Why would he not sell the foil shark? I'm very confused.
Because he wanted it.
Does he think he's going to collect more than me? Because I can assure you, he's not.
He just likes it. I think people just like the cards sometimes. You know, like he thought of you. He immediately. I'll tell you what. You're known. You might be the fifth biggest content creator in sorcery because you were known. He was like, oh my gosh, send Josh a picture.
So I think I'm 2, buddy, according to the sorcery Facebook community.
There you go.
I am 2
people that matter. Shout out to never mind. Okay. Beta EV though. I'm shocked. I am perplexed.
I want to pause. You can go ahead. I want you to remember that your sometimes people just like it take for more than just sorcery. I just want you to keep that in your mind perpetually when we talk TCGs going forward. But go ahead. Beta EV.
Beta EV. I am perplexed at the Beta EV.
Perplexed, astounded, dumbfounded.
Yeah. So the Beta EV, I've got a shout out to secret person that I'm not going to name because
secret user who must not be named.
He definitely doesn't want me telling me who he is.
But big shout out to that homie because that is a homie.
The homie. Yeah. He has a software apparently. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It looks cool. That's all I know. That every day runs the Beta EV. I didn't know this until this week. Otherwise, we would have talked about this many times. We've talked about this. You did know this. We're like 6 months post-release, something like that. Around there. We got to be.
November was official release, so December, January, February, March, 4.
Oh, we're 4 months post-release. The point still stands.
We're like release plus 90.
You would think that the EV of this game would just be crashing, right? Like that it would at least balance out to the box price. The Beta EV of cards that are over $1. That's what I told him to. And it would pull, I believe, market price from TCG Player. Cards over $1 is $227.27. 227.27. That's pretty impressive. Most other games, your EV at this point is negative on a booster box. Magic EV's negative like 30 seconds after you crack the box. That's
just not true.
It is though. But yeah, definitely is true. I don't know. I just think it's cool. I think it's a good sign for where the game goes. Thoughts?
The EV on the box is a good sign for where the game goes.
No, like, what are your thoughts on that? Am I crazy?
My thoughts on is the EV of a box the good sign of where the game goes? Or
no, just in the general about beta.
I mean, it's interesting. I'm hesitant with any indie TCG EV numbers. I think there's several indie TCGs where if you were to put the EV on a spreadsheet, and listen, I'm a math and spreadsheet guy. I love it. I built an entire web application based around it. The problem is you have to find a buyer for all the stuff in the box for the EV to matter. You have to realize that EV.
Sure.
Right? And the sell-through rates for high-end sorcery are okay. They're fine.
The number one card in the set for beta is the Onyx core. It's got 2 sales today at the price that he's tracking it at, $57, $56.
You said the number one
number 2 after the Philosopher's Stone.
I was about to say I have the Philosopher's Stone at number 1.
Also had a sale today. I mean, the don't get me wrong, it's all going down, right? Like the trajectory of the singles is down, which I guess I anticipated an earlier downward, a more rapid decline of a trajectory.
I mean, it's tough because it's also that EV is presented on a site where the box price is represented at $200, and we all know that's not the price of a box. Right.
So hypothetically, it should work the opposite way. If you can get a box for $150, shouldn't the EV go down because you're still opening boxes and you don't have to pay $200 for the box?
That's part of the smaller community, right? When you have a smaller community, you've got people buying into the game that don't know. They use that site, they use TCG Player as their resource, and when your community is not massive, where everything boils down to, it's a reflection of the rest of the community because everything is so competitive. It's not the best comparison, in my opinion. I still think that the problem is you have to sell. This is everything. The EV is calculated with everything, I think, over $1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you have to sell those dollar cards.
Right.
Like,
I mean, like the reason you do that is because if a card is worth less than $1, hypothetically, it wouldn't sell. So like that's why it's less
where
than
indie
$1.
TCGs are different, in my opinion. It's not just, hey, if a card's worth $1, it's gonna sell, right? You're not selling to 20 million people or 50 million or 10 million based on our moves on the day. Yeah. So, and that will always be the problem with indie TCG EV, because when buying stops, as we've seen, buying just stops, and the prices don't change. We've seen other indie TCGs that we would both agree are not doing great, and we see the prices of the cards holding steady, right? But the thing is, they're just not selling in meaningful numbers to a community. People who have them, they have them. They've been purchased. There's no need to dip back into that well.
That is certainly happening for Sorcery on the higher end alpha foil market. The people like me who were buying foils got their cards, and now when a cave-in foil pops up, it sits there for more days because whatever. I'm going to take an opposite point though. I think that one of the reasons that the EV is so good or so positive is actually because there are a lot of those lower value cards selling, because people are building decks and people are actually enjoying playing the game. And that was my takeaway from the event, was that there are people who, unlike me, right? There are people who care about the meta and the gameplay side that are really, that's their thing. Like they'd never opened an alpha box. They've never opened an alpha pack. I had people who bought their first alpha pack at the shop this weekend. They didn't care about that. They're not here for the collecting. They're here for, they traveled hours to come and play in an event because they care about the gameplay. And I thought that was really cool. I'm working on getting to the bottom of the EV sheet, or the bottom of the TCG player sheet, because I want to see how often a dollar card sells.
I mean, you're not going to catch me on the side of you said people are buying cards. Like, yeah, I agree with that. I will never say people aren't buying cards. I think less people are buying cards right now than there were 2 months ago, right? And my only statement about the EV and these numbers would be something like this model, looking at this, works when it comes to Magic the Gathering, and this is great information. The problem here is that your push through is not the same. People do buy cards. They do not buy cards in the same numbers as they do with larger TCGs. So I would just caution you going out to listening to this podcast and buying a beta box because we show you the EV that's $252, because you're like, oh my God, this is an infinite money glitch. Like,
no, I'm not recommending that to anybody. It's not because of that, but because it's a lot of freaking work. That you're in a 403 card set, the sorting and organizing of the cards is a lot.
But like, aside from the work, it's an infinite money glitch, because I don't think that's true.
Well, that's not how money works, because you have to put the time and energy into making it, so it's not like a glitch. But like, dude, like today, 12 copies of Step Steepy, it's a $1.33 card in beta, sold 12 copies. So like the cards are selling, and also you have less demand, but you also have less supply in terms of sellers. The number of sellers is way less than Magic the Gathering. So I see what your point is, but there are people that are actively able to produce and open boxes and make money. They're doing it. Like, I'm not
saying they can't. I'm just saying I have seen this go south.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should do what you're saying if they don't love the game and don't want to just open the cards for their self. Like, I agree with you. Otherwise, I would just not be doing this podcast. I would just be cracking beta boxes open.
Well, you'd have to really get beta boxes.
I could just get them like the consumer that we're talking about could, because the EV is positive right now. I don't have to be a game store owner to make money on it. Like, it's just the EV is positive. Before the work is the point. I don't know. It's interesting. It gives me a lot of confidence that it's lasted 4 months of positive EV. And now here's the question: do they put more boxes out? And that's the thing that, like, I don't know, man. I don't know what happens if all of a sudden I'm frustrated. It was my biggest frustration from the event was, like, I didn't have boxes, right?
Well, yeah, imagine you had 100 beta boxes at the event.
Right. And like it would have been way more whatever profitable, whatever. It's not like that's a frustration.
Well,
that's not what the event was about. It's not what I care about. So like it is what it is.
Hold on. That's not, I'm not putting you in those shoes. I'm not saying you wanted 100 beta boxes there because it makes it more profitable. But no, it's people opening more cards, having more fun, spreading the game.
Yeah, and it's also like supporting another store that's a competitor. Not the greatest feeling when you're, trying to be a store owner, right?
And
like that's not the greatest way to interact with the game that you love, but it is what it is.
I don't know if I'm saying something you're gonna have to edit, but I know you. And at that event, if there's an MSRP, you're not selling to the people that traveled to that event at shelf price or MSRP.
No, I had to. I did.
Well, I'm saying in the world where you had access to boxes,
right?
You're not doing that because you want to spread the game. You want to spread the joy because you care about the game. Right. So unless that's against sorcery innkeeper policy, in which case you would never do that because why would you? But if it's not, you would always support people like who travel that way and just want to spread the love. Having boxes at that event is not about I'm not saying that from a making money perspective. I'm saying that because like you guys would have cracked more packs. Yeah. You would have been doing sorcery, guess the card, win the card. You would have been like you'd have been
I didn't do that. I was honestly my biggest frustration from the whole weekend is that I didn't do that. Like I just dropped the ball. I just sucked.
I don't think you did. I think you did.
I just dropped the ball. Like that's my biggest regret from the whole weekend. I just got so caught up in the stream and the event and like making sure that the judge calls were mostly right. And like I got so caught up in
you were making sure the judge called.
That was Ron. Ron was the judge. He was much more attuned to that. But I had 4 people lined up on Discord just in case.
There you go.
Needed help.
Always good to have backup.
Discord has changed the game, man. Discord's the greatest.
Discord's great.
Anyway, I think it'll be interesting to see like if stores had access to boxes in a large quantity right now, you would see this completely drop the EV. Right, because like what a store does in this scenario is you spend more money at your distro, which has an inherent positive. You buy a bunch of boxes at way below market price and you sell what you can. But if you can't, you just crack open the boxes for singles and those sell. It's a wider sale through rate, right? And then all of a sudden the product tanks. So I understand the theory of like not putting more boxes out there. It'll be interesting to see if they ever do or how that works. But I don't know. All right, moving on. Star Wars. This is your topic, Josh. Your topic was Star Wars. You posted it in the Discord. How was Star Wars?
I posted like all the topics this week.
I know. How is Star Wars crushing?
That's not what I said.
It literally says Star Wars crushing. Oh, never mind.
Listen, Star Wars is sitting in that beautiful little space, and we talked about it before we started recording. It's sitting in that beautiful little space right above indie TCGs and below your Lorcanas, right, and your One Pieces. Where it's like it's this new game, people are interested. It's firing.
Just say it. It's selling more boxes than Fab. Just say it. Like that's.
I thought I wasn't allowed to say that.
No, it's selling more boxes than Fab. There's a smile on both of our faces. That's not.
Oh God, it's not close.
It's not pussyfoot around it.
My buddy, my guy, that is not my measure of success for a game.
I know.
Fab has sold 50 boxes on TCG Player this month. Actually, I think it's like 70, but like, ugh. Anyway, Star Wars is sitting in that beautiful zone, and I was a little bit taken aback. I thought, based on the echo chamber that you and I both live in, that this number would have been higher.
Really?
I really thought just based on now, hold on, boo-boo. I don't know if you're showing people the information I've sent you.
Showing them the Star Wars, just the Star Wars. I don't have the Lorcana in front of me is what I was looking for.
No, you can go to cardboardfinance.com, which is supported by the channel members of Hometown TCG, to get that information. Always available to the public 24/7, updated daily.
Cool. Keep talking.
This does have the caveat where it's one of those games that didn't appear on TCG Player long before release. And I don't know what that contract looks like for like a new game to get on TCG Player. But like we saw that with Sorcery. Sorcery released on TCG Player, I think it was like 2 weeks before official release, right? And I consider beta official release. So we've seen this with other games, and we see more success with games that get in early, build some hype, and then sell a bunch of boxes. Right. So with the sell-through rate and the numbers now, I'm interested to see if this continues to grow, if the number of sales, as we've seen, by the graph, continues to go up, or if we see the normal TCG effect where it drastically falls off month to month going forward.
I'm going to just straight up disagree with you. I think if you would have told me that Star Wars was going to sell 40% the number of booster boxes on TCG Player as the new Lorcana set in roughly the same amount of time, I would have been shocked. I would have thought Lorcana was way more selling. Like you've got draft booster boxes of Star Wars at 2,183, and draft booster boxes of Lorcana from the newest set is 5,861. Like,
yeah.
I would not have thought that Star Wars would be in the same vein as the newest Lorcana set.
I don't think, like, it's not I don't know, same vein. Is
around 50% of the sales. That seems like
right. Well, the latest Fab set is around 50% of the sales if we're going booster box to booster box from Star Wars.
I think a brand new Star Wars game that had minimal like huge, like they didn't have like some sort of huge advertising budget for this. That's like a massive thing.
No, but it is Star Wars. It's on the front page of the site. It's on the front page of TCG Player. It's the thing it has going against it. It's just in circles of TCG players. I don't think it has the Lorcana effect of the Walmarts, the Kmarts, the Disney fans, the people who just like Monsters Inc. and I see something Disney or whatever.
And that is really the biggest difference here. Is like Lorcana pack to pack probably has a metric ton of sales through big box stores, and I was at a Hot Topic. I don't go to Hot Topic, but I was walking through the mall and my kid saw some Pokemon thing at Hot Topic, so we just like walked in and they had Lorcana first chapter packs. And I called Donald. I was like, "Hey, should I buy all these?" And he's like, "No," and so I didn't. I was a good guy. To give to my kids, people. That's what I was gonna do with them. Obviously, was give them to my children.
There was no way you were gonna secondary market a game that you definitely don't believe in.
I would never do that. I'm a good person.
No,
I actually didn't buy them because my kids were going crazy. That's the real reason I didn't buy them. My kids were yelling and screaming, and I left the store.
Dude, kids yell and scream all the time. They're so loud. Kids are so loud. Why are kids so loud?
So you asked, like, you're interested to see what this does moving forward?
I'm interested because it didn't sit on the platform for months before. We looked at Lorcana releases. Releases are available for pre-sale months before the official release, right? This is one of those, something happened. It was available a little bit before the official release, but it has hit the ground and people are enjoying it, talking about it, and buying it. I want to see if we see growth, which it's unheard of. We saw it with Lorcana because of the print issues. I think there's a potential for like more sales post-release here.
I think that's true. It's gonna be interesting because of what we talked about earlier with Magic with the price point.
Yeah.
So don't take this, people, as proof or as what. One distro, according to my rep, is out of product. That is like the one of the distros, and then Asmodee essentially has said like they're not going to have a lot of boxes after this wave of boxes, is what I've been told. Now, like, that doesn't mean that they can't get more boxes in 6 months or whatever.
Speculate. Oh, no. Speculate. Is it out of print?
No, I wouldn't say it's out of print because they've never said that they would not print it again. But we could see what I would call like a One Piece scenario, right? Where like they are going to have boxes, or a first chapter scenario where they even come out and say we're gonna have more boxes, but it's 6 months down the road. Right now, boxes are $90, right? Like, that's not crazy. They're, I think, 96 or something like that in TCG Player.
I think it's 93 or 94.
But like we say on the podcast, we said on this podcast that $120 box is a prime spot for like when Magic product hits around that price, you start seeing a lot of sales and whatever like that.
I think that's Magic. I think indie TCGs need to be $100 or below. That's where they work the best.
Well, again,
sorcery lives outside that. I don't want to make this a sorcery discussion.
No,
every other indie
like
TCG
Lorcana sells at $125 a box, like wildfire. Like this is not an indie.
Don't compare this to Lorcana. It's not.
Why? It's comparable to Lorcana. One Piece. So when One Piece wasn't flying through the moon at 100, it got down to like $100, $99 to $100. But my point is that you could see these boxes. People aren't going to be like, no, I'm not spending $120 on this box if the price does get up to that price point on TCG Player and stuff. And I think the real win is people like I've gotten two different Whatnot streamers have reached out to me recently and been like, hey, can you get this product? I want to buy a bunch of boxes. Like that's happened. And like from a store owning perspective, people are starting to see people play in the store. And so then they say, hey, can I buy a 2-player starter kit? And they get invested. Like I do think what you're saying can happen as a result of the game didn't have like a huge awareness previous to release. Now it's released. People are seeing it played, and box prices have a lot of room to grow from $90 to $120. There's a lot of room that like people will still want to buy. So I do think you'll see these numbers go up, in my opinion. But
so just looking at kind of what you were talking about to compare Into the Inklands to Star Wars, right? It's not 1/5 the size roughly when we talk number of boxes. If we do a straight up comparison in pre-release. Right. The difference is, can Star Wars have that second run? I don't
understand where you're making those numbers from. Your total sales numbers on the top. That's
you go to the compare releases and pick Into the Inklands, Spark of Rebellion, and then select the pre-release configuration.
What is that?
Hit the hamburger menu top left.
No, I know. What does that compare?
That compares all of the products sold in pre-release.
I never know what the Star Wars set is called. Oh, Spark
of Rebellion. I had to look it up too. I always just called it because I did the same thing with Sorcery. When it was just one set, I just called it Sorcery.
What do I do now?
And Beta.
I selected those things.
And then did you select the release configuration? Pre-release, release plus 30, release plus 90?
Pre-release.
So the difference is, again, the amount of time that it's been available on the platform, and this thing has hit the ground running. We're both in the same camp here. We think this has a lot of potential, and that's scary to say for a new TCG because I have to hold myself back.
Listen, I've opened. This is now my car. This is now my game because we have a decent chunk of product at the shop, and that's bad for me because like when I'm at the shop, so like after the sorcery event, or the night before on Friday night, I was setting up. I was at the shop at 1:30 in the morning, making sure everything was set for the sorcery event. Everybody leaves, and by myself, I'm like, I need to decompress, and so I got a box of I went to this right because like it's fun. I open up a box. Then the sorcery event happens. Everyone's there. Everybody leaves. I'm like, what I'm going to do? I'm going to open 3 boxes of Star Wars.
I've got 2 cases coming for channel members.
Yeah.
I'm like anxiously waiting on them because I want to sell them. Like I want to reward the people because I think this has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And I have heard the same things you've heard. So I want to give them to members at a favorable price before it happens so people can look back and be like, guess what I got? What price I got this at? Like, I'm looking forward to that.
I have not sorted any of the cards to sell singles out, and so I don't know what the sale through rate of singles is.
But you got to build decks.
I want to build a Twin Peaks. What's it called? Twin.
That's the restaurant.
Twin Suns.
There you go.
Twin Suns deck. It's their multiplayer format. You get 2 leaders, and it's a singleton format. I'm excited to build a deck for that.
Every game is just Commander.
Listen. They're not though. Like you don't see any. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. I'm excited about it. I think this is really interesting. I get everyone's worried about it. Like everybody brings up all the other Star Wars games every single time.
Which is hold on. That's fair.
It's totally fair. Now, when Asmodee's come out and they claim they have 10 or 9 sets scheduled and that they have the people hired for those 9 sets, which is a good sign.
It's a good sign until the economy takes a turn and everybody's like, well,
right.
Guess
and
what?
We'll see how the OP stuff gets set up too, in terms of them like setting up good platforms and prizing and stuff like that. It'll be interesting. It's definitely one to watch for people. Definitely has legs, right? Like this has potential for sure.
So this is what I'm most excited to watch. I got to tell you, because it's not an indie TCG. So there's massive potential here, right? Indie TCGs are healthiest when they grow slowly. They just are. If an indie TCG, in our experience, explodes onto the scene, there is a rapid decompression where things come back down to earth.
Right.
Games like this are not that. Lorcana, we saw this crazy explosion, but we always thought Lorcana was going to hit with the community because of the Disney IP. The question with Lorcana is it repeatable? Can you do it over and over and over again, which is required for a TCG?
Right.
This one, I'm most excited for because like it hit, it's got buzz, it's fun, but it hasn't had that supernova moment yet. And there's so much potential here for everyone to decide that they want to play Star Wars. Like most people aren't collecting a ton of cards yet. They're just people are playing the game. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of like controversy with the art. It's for me. It's not for me. This has explosive potential. I'm so excited.
I will say I am disappointed that that they didn't just focus on the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's just weird. Not because I'm old. I guess because I'm old.
Yeah, it's also because you're old.
But like
I am too.
They came out with the next set and it's got all the other characters from the new movies and whatever. It which is probably good. Like I get it, young people are gonna like that more and whatever. But hold on. The bigger issue is how do you make a new set in 2 years or 3 years when you've already done all the characters? Like you make another Darth Vader card? That seems
You absolutely do. So it's the Dragon Ball Z card game. How many Gokus are in the Dragon Ball Z card game? There's a trillion of them, right? Yeah. And that's the problem. Lorcana being Disney,
right,
is open-ended. Dragon Ball Z is a problem.
They can put Darth Vader in their game.
Maybe they will.
I mean, they can't because of the licensing.
No,
they could. They could buy the licensing, and then that would
killing.
kill Star Wars.
There was literally killing in Star Wars. I don't think it's going to make its way into Lorcana. But
Darth Vader goes on a quest.
He does. Darth Vader quests all the time. He does whatever it takes to complete that quest. I don't know, man. Like that's the worry, and that's why.
Yeah.
You always try to compare these things, and Pokemon and Magic, unfortunately, set the bar. Like, so we do all this, like, in our mind, these comparisons, which are completely unfair. But it's like, if you base a game around an IP that seemingly has an end, and I know Star Wars doesn't yet, but it sure seems like it's on its last leg. Like, it's the same thing with Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
When Dragon Ball Z transitioned into GT, you lost so much of your player base. I'm not saying the two are comparable, but, like, it's a dangerous road to go down.
Yeah. I know nothing about Dragon Ball Z, so I don't have anything to add to that part of the conversation.
Oh my god, dude, are you serious?
I am not a weeb.
Dude, I was awesome at the Dragon Ball Z.
That makes sense.
Chris Sabat, I've got a ton of signed cards from the voice of Vegeta.
I always forget that you just have random Dragon Ball Z cards sitting around.
Yeah, dude.
It's like the second time.
Dude, Dragon Ball Z was dope. This game was so much fun. Look, from the first signed cards from the first set ever.
That's pretty cool.
They're worth less than nothing. I think it cost me more to keep them in this plastic than they're worth.
Okay. Speaking of games that are pumping, OP6, the One Piece. One Piece is pumping.
One Piece OP6 is pretty interesting.
OP6 releases to basically the day this comes out.
That's true. I didn't know that. I thought it was further off.
No, it's out. Impossible to get. George didn't get any boxes. I know everybody was worried about it. He didn't get any boxes.
He had zero? He had 0 boxes?
Yeah, he claims he got 2, but he wouldn't send me the receipt. So, you know.
He wouldn't, or is he just busy with important things this week?
He didn't send me the receipt. So, $230 on TCG Player, $223. They have undershot demand by way more than Lorcana ever did.
But like,
and like potentially intentionally.
I was about to say, we criticize this as a failure of Lorcana. This is a failure. Your box on pre-release shouldn't be $233.
I would say it's more than a failure. It's an intentional deceit.
It's if you intentionally made the decision that is the failure, I gotta break it to you. That's worse. That's worse. That's worse. If you knowingly did this,
dude,
that's
the
worse.
boxes are selling like freaking crazy. Too.
Oh, did you see so I updated the application to track OP6 today, and it pulled all the back data, and I was like, oh.
It's crazy. Oh, that's wrong.
The only thing holding this back. So when I look at these, whenever I evaluate a set after I, do an initial data pull, I try to think, okay, number of boxes, what kind of products are selling versus how much people like me who just like games have spent. Oh my God, this has sold like less boxes because less is just available, and they've spent more than they have on Star Wars.
Yeah,
by far. Like, it's not close.
No.
It's like a $200,000 difference. So it's just like people want this so bad, and they can't get a freaking box at a reasonable price.
My problem with this is the same problem I had originally with Lorcana, which is like they have no way to gauge their actual demand. Like, how many people just buy this because it's, and God knows what the EV is. You know what? You know why the your booster box case price total spend is very close to your booster box price, because people buy cases. Yeah, because there's case hits.
Yep, we've seen this in other games. Yeah.
So it's like a really interesting dynamic where, like, I don't know, man. I don't know where the demand is compared to like just the free tendies.
But like, Lorcana fixed it. Lorcana,
right,
and it's risky. It's risky to fix because you could find out your entire demand model is based on Tendy Town. Like, you could find that out real quick, and when you find that out, that's a harrowing experience.
Yeah. And they fix it quick, whereas like One Piece seemingly leaned into it.
Yeah.
Like, they announced with OP6 allocations that OP6 and 7 were going to be reduced supply, which is wild. Like, absolutely wild.
Isn't OP overseas? Like, didn't you say in Japan OP is like you can get OP5 boxes, Japanese boxes like crazy?
Yeah. I don't know why that is. I have no clue.
I mean, maybe they just don't want the American market.
Listen.
Do you think Bandai blames America for the 17 failed card games that I outlined when we talked about One Piece to begin with?
And they're just like, we're going to avoid the market.
Yeah, like, listen, we're just not going to play that game. You guys don't get to play. Like,
I don't know. It's wild. It makes it hard though, because like, I have people in the store who I feel like deserve to get a box, right?
100%.
So I get my allocation. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to give everybody a box. But then they don't even give product for pre-release. So like Magic, when you do a pre-release, they guarantee you, they have pre-release cases, right? Or pre-release kits. They guarantee you product for your pre-release. But
even before that, they'd send you a case. Like, you got product. Right. Yeah.
So, but like, you're guaranteed product that you can get. And like here, you just got to use your product. So now I'm like, okay, what do I do? What's the point of doing
people their boxes or do a
so now I'm like, what I could do is give people their boxes, but say, hey, you have to use 6 packs of that box to use for your pre-release. That's what I want to do, but I don't know.
That's gonna be tough. We had other games that were coveted like this. You went, they're like, we'll sell you this box, but you have to like open it and the packs on site, and you're like, wait, what?
Right. Well, like, yeah, I'm not giving the box to the person who wants to hold it for for collection. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, if you want to build a local scene, like, I gotta reward the people who have been playing.
But like, okay, let's break that statement down. You want to build a local scene. You can't sell your local scene any product if you're successful building one.
No, the only reason I care about building a local scene is because Joey wants it to happen. Because he wants.
So again, like, you're outside the realm of business. You're doing the thing you do with sorcery, which makes you a good game store owner.
Right.
But we're respecting not every game store owner is a good game store owner. right?
Right. And this is why we have people showing up to play Lorcana still, because we did that for Lorcana
Right.
too. Anybody who wanted a box of first chapter when we got our restock was able to get it at MSRP.
You can get down off your horse. We boosted you up. We're not talking about you.
That's why I do it though. Like there's also a selfish business side of it too, because in 3 years
there is if you eventually can get product. That only works for Lorcana because you can get Lorcana now.
Right.
If you to this day, if Lorcana boxes were still $400 a box, so that community would not be showing up every week.
So I have a theory that Bandai is moving into these other distros. So Union Arena, which is another game that everybody always wants us to talk about. Union Arena is the next Bandai game that is like Bleach and some other anime that I've never watched.
Isn't it like all of their IPs?
It's like 3 different IPs in one. It's called.
I thought, but the whole point of the potential. Let me make sure I understand the potential of the Union Arena platform is they can take any of their IPs, any of their games, and like they could have a One Piece set for Union Arena. They could have a Dragon Ball Z set in Union Arena in the future.
I didn't know that. That makes sense because all the Bandai players, like everybody who plays Yu-Gi-Oh, sorry, not Yu-Gi-Oh. I think that's a Bandai game. I don't know. Everybody who plays One Piece plays Dragon Ball Super and blah, 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 blah.
This is the tinfoil hat theory.
They're getting rid of. I love it.
Union Arena. This is why they don't care about printing a bunch of One Piece. They're going to get you excited on these things, sprinkle them, and they're going to consolidate you all down to Union Arena releases.
That would be a massive mistake. Like
it's also Bandai.
The Union Arena game, not as good as One Piece, according to my One Piece players who have now played with the Union Arena.
They might be biased. I heard the Union Arena system was decent, but okay.
I have not touched it. I have not played it. I moved the packages from in the box to the table, and then I said, "Hey Joey, those are on the table. Have fun, buddy."
How many games of One Piece do you think I have played?
0.
Yeah, there you go. How many games of Star Wars do you think I'm going to play?
You should play Star Wars.
How many games of Star Wars do you think I'm going to play?
0.
There you go. How many games of Star Wars are you going to play?
0.
I play Magic at this point in my life.
Love it.
I collect everything else.
I don't know. It's interesting. I kind of there's a person inside of me, a really terrible person that wants
really small in the back of your head telling you horrible
things. Buy a case of OP6 to crack it just because. There's like a guy inside of me that's like, it's $3,000. Waste the money. See what happens.
God, I kind of want to do it too.
Because those hits from OP5 are selling for like $5,000. Like I've graded 2 of them now for 2 different people at my store who opened them from my boxes that I could have just opened, mind you. Right? They're like $4,000 cards.
You know what? I haven't gotten there. I get immense joy when I open product for channel members and we have big hits. I thought I'd be like, man, I should have just kept it. I don't have that. I don't have that at all. I just get so excited because I know someone others. But I think if it was like a $5,000 hit, I'd be like, man, part of me wish I would have got that.
The difference is I would never have taken the risk, right? Like as a store owner, I'd much rather take the
I would have never opened it. It would sit here forever.
Yeah, I would much rather take the sure play of like, hey, I made my whatever profit margin off this box.
Well, you're a store. That's where we differ. Yeah.
Yeah. But in this scenario where I can't get more product and I want to gamble, the OP6 in a different life, I think I would take it. But
you want to do it 50-50?
No.
Okay.
No, because then who gets the hit? That's the problem.
Well, no, we sell everything.
Yeah, but then you gotta sell it. That's less fun too.
You're a store.
I know. But like you could also just like grade it and
it's cool if I suck at selling stuff. It's not cool if you suck at selling.
The problem is that I'm way more degenerate than you, and like I'm like, oh, we got the hit. Let's grade it and get a black label. Like that's the
fine. I'm down. Let's grade it.
Then we sell it.
Yeah, down. Game. Let's do it.
This is an interesting one.
We would suck at business together because we would just both be like, yeah, let's go for the riskiest, most explosive play. Because you'd be like, you're gonna push back. You're the reasonable one. And I'd be like, no, dude.
Like, I haven't done that though. Like I guess I did that with sorcery kind of, but
you literally have done that with every new game that you've onboarded.
That's not true. I take calculated risks. I did it with sorcery. I did it with a lot of games. There's other games though that I carry. I don't do that with Pokemon. We got 100 boxes of Pokemon coming this week. I'm not going to open any of those.
It's not a potential in Pokemon. There's no massive calculated explosive risk you can take with Pokemon.
That's fair.
You do it every chance you get, and I'm game. I'm not ostracizing you. I'm telling you I'm on your team.
Pokemon sucks. All right, let's move on to Pokemon versus Lorcana.
Pokemon versus Lorcana.
Pokemon has a new set coming out, Josh.
I know I haven't added to the tracker yet because I went to their. Can we talk about the massive failure that is?
Your tracker or temporal forces?
I went to the Pokemon.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I went to the Pokemon website, and it didn't tell me that there's a new set coming out.
Yeah, because Pokemon's more than just the TCG.
No, it's the Pokemon TCG website.
Does that
Don't
exist?
you dare. I made sure it's tcg.pokemon or whatever. It's the Pokemon trading card game website. It is all about the trading card game, buddy.
Huh, that is a website. They've got Paldean Fates right on the front line.
I know. What a mess.
What's new? What's new? See the latest Pokemon expansion coming soon, Temporal Forces. I kind of feel like this is your fault.
No, I gotta dig for it.
It's one page. It's like one scroll down.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I have a set releasing this week, it's on the front page.
Release is next week. Pre-release was last week. It's 2 weeks between pre-release and release.
Is pre-release the official release or not?
Not
you
for
tell
Magic.
Me pre-release is the official release.
For Magic, it is. So stores are allowed to sell product for pre-release.
Yeah. That's a good model. I like that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Arriving March 22nd. This set looks kind of cool, not gonna lie. This is my favorite of the new sets so far.
So let's peel
like
back the curtain because we don't get a chance to talk about how I feel about Pokemon often because you and George scream at each other about Pokemon and Lorcana for 30 minutes every week.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to you this week, and I respect Pokemon for its place in the space. I wanted to buy a master set of 151. I took it as my YOLO take for last week, and this week I reached out and said, 151, the Charizard, the Blastoise, and the Venusaur. I kind of want to buy all three and get them graded because I think they're cool cards to have. So I respect Pokemon. I love Pokemon. It's interesting to me. What I don't understand and what I wanted to ask you, which you didn't know before we started this podcast, is why does Lorcana sell in similar numbers to Pokemon? Tried, true, proven Pokemon. Why does it sell in similar numbers and sometimes in less numbers on TCG Player?
So I feel like I've tried to answer this question multiple times on the podcast, and you guys don't like my answer. So the answer is because Pokemon already has a lot of different online retailers that have very, very active audiences and 25 years of history of people buying from them. Whereas Lorcana is a brand new game that almost all the online sales probably run through a TCG Player.
And what, like on the online retailers being game stores?
Yeah, but there are game stores who look at the Pokemon guy who's at Northeast Pokemon. This is a new guy, right? This is new,
I don't know who that is.
And Pokemon NE, Pokemon New. I think it's New England. Nope. It might be something else. Pokemon NE. He's a YouTuber. He does a lot of he's at like 17,000 subscribers. He has a website. He's new, right? He's only been doing this since after the pandemic or during the pandemic. He orders pallets of Pokemon that never hit TCG Player. They're only sell through his website.
Okay.
He's new to it. There are other stores who are massively bigger than him that aren't just like a YouTube following, but have 25 years of online retail experience that sell boxes and they never hit TCG Player. It's just not something that they need because they have a huge audience of people who buy boxes from them because they have 25 years of experience of people buying boxes from them in community. So that's a huge difference that Lorcana doesn't have. And those people might get into Lorcana, but those people from Lorcana also, if that retailer is trying to buy Lorcana, they can't get the boxes because Lorcana is allocating to stores that are running events. Those are smaller stores that then get more boxes than maybe I get more boxes of Lorcana than I need locally, and I sell those boxes elsewhere if I need to. Or I just sit on them and they sit in the back of the store. And then when somebody wants a Floodworm box, I still have it, right? It is what it is. So the market is just different because Pokemon has this depth of community and depth of sellers who have been doing this for 20 years, 25 years.
So that's what my assumption was. My assumption was that you have paths that people have taken to purchase Pokemon, to, you know, their avenues, their funnels of buying Pokemon that they're going to continue to use. But I guess what I get confused with there is when you compare something like Lorcana to Pokemon, we always talk about, you know, is the price of Into the Inklands, Rise of the Floodborn, is that going to hold up? And it always tanks and then seems to level and steady at a certain point. Why does Pokemon dip well below what would be deemed an acceptable price for most releases, and something like Lorcana doesn't? Is it because the number of retailers is smaller, so the floor is held up more? Is it because there's fewer boxes and the communities are similar size? Like, what's going on with that?
Hype is definitely one of them. The Lorcana hype is definitely more increased than the current Pokemon hype. The Pokemon market right now is in a weird spot where the hype is at probably a low from the last 5 years. Definitely since the pandemic. Like,
sure, but if the number of people are, if people have like tons of avenues to buy boxes, what I'm assuming is those people that are buying boxes through those avenues are not paying TCG Player $89, $99 a box price.
Oh, yeah. This is the difference, dude. Like,
yeah, they're paying full price and they're willing to support that retailer.
No. This is your point of not understanding. Like, the online retailer's price is like $100. This is why I don't sell Pokemon boxes online, because I don't have the volume of which makes sense for me to sell boxes for $100. Like, these guys are selling cases, and like they're selling hundreds of boxes, thousands of boxes at $5 to $6 profit margin. Like, that's what they're doing, and that's why the price on TCG Player is just sellers. If I needed to move product, I would just have to go to TCG Player because I don't have that audience of people, and I would lose money on whatever. So like, the prices aren't. It's just a high volume game for Pokemon. Lorcana is different because Lorcana doesn't have that volume of product, in my opinion. You're going to just disagree with me because it doesn't sell on TCG Player. Lorcana doesn't have the same volume of product yet.
What are you talking about? Are you saying that I would sit here and claim that Lorcana sells a similar number of boxes as Pokemon? That's what
I feel like I brought up on the podcast before.
No, you and George have shouted at each other about that.
So that's what George would say. George would say, "Look at the numbers on TCG."
I have never said that. Okay, I have always said Pokemon is very clearly number 2, and I have always had an understing that Pokemon sells in spaces that Lorcana has not had the opportunity to build a pipeline in.
Sure,
the oil company that built pipeline somewhere 30 years ago sells more oil than the shiny new company that hasn't built a pipeline. Like,
I think Lorcana, though, this is important. I think Lorcana is going to get there. Like, I think Lorcana will do what Pokemon has done, and they will have that it will move to a more low profit, high volume game in terms of a retailer that Pokemon is. The reason that currently, though, is because the supply is low, or it's not indie TCG level, right? There's still tons of boxes sell. It's still vastly.
Are you talking about Lorcana?
Lorcana, yeah, because the supply.
It's lower than Pokemon, but it's nowhere near indie TCG level. Yeah,
right. But that's what I'm saying. It's lower though. It's lower than Pokemon, and in addition, you have these extremely hard to pull cards in the Enchanted that have value and lean into the hype cycle of the game. This is why you have boxes that sit at that $125 price point where things are moving, because you have the potential to hit these really expensive cards or whatever. Pokemon doesn't have that. You don't have a $700 Elsa in your new Pokemon set. The last time that's happened was Evolving Skies with the Moonbeyond. We haven't seen that. Maybe the Geronimo, the Garantina, the in Lost Origin. I can't pronounce that.
No, but you have a couple, and then just thinking about 151 and not the standard Pokemon sets. I know I opened a Pokemon set with you when I was going through some stuff in life, and I remember that experience. Like, oh, all this stuff looks cool. It has very little to no value.
Mm-hmm.
But like 151's got some chase stuff. You always see a pickup, and they don't have the $750 hit, but they have a couple $100, $60, $50 hits in there, right? And
like the number one card you can pull is the Charizard, and it's $100.
Right, I think it's like 125, isn't it? There's it actually just out.
That's $104.99.
Yeah. Okay. Isn't that a win though? In my opinion, I always think it's a win for these games. I've said this, Magic the Gathering. I have, weirdly enough, I bought some more opts because I thought they were cool.
That graph on the Charizard is wild. It's just like
I like when a box has a big hit, and historically, from information I've tracked and from sets we've talked about, historically the more successful sets have a big hit in them.
Yeah,
they just do. But like, so isn't that a win in Lorcana's favor? Like, is it safe to say that Lorcana is doing the chase better than most standard release current Pokemon sets are?
I would say it's better than all release Pokemon sets. The chase for Pokemon is really hard right now because the volume of product they're making is so high that you can't get that.
And do you think it's not only the volume of product, but the volume of product? Because you can make as much product as you want. We've seen this with Magic. Let's say you print 1 trillion boxes, only 100,000 of them get opened, right? People aren't, if people don't care about it, the chase isn't there. So you think it's a combination of the fact that they're printing 1 million boxes and it's still being opened in a good number. Like a good number of those boxes are actually flowing through the community to lower that chase price. Because if they were printing 1 trillion boxes, it was only selling, 1/5 of that. The chase card price would still be high because theoretically less of them are pulled and it's coveted.
So yeah, let me try to show you let me try to give you evidence of what I'm trying to say. If you pull, let's use Charizard, which would be, hypothetically, it's the most expensive card in 151.
Yep.
So it would be the lowest populous card in 151, right?
Theoretically.
Like,
Pokemon's weird though, because favorite characters come into play there. Let's say Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, they're all the same pull rate, but yeah.
Theoretically though, it's the most expensive card, so it should be hypothetically the most difficult to pull. Okay. Amongst the most. So let's use Lorcana, which an enchanted is all the same pull rate, all very difficult to pull.
Right.
And let's use I just pulled I've got them up. I've got Floodborn in front of me because it's the one most people would be opening for singles right now because it's the lowest value set. So you've got Cinderella has 8 listings. There are 8 listings for Cinderella. Alice has 18 listings. Snow White has 31 listings.
Right.
The Charizard has 109 listings, and sales for today are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 25. Right. But I don't know, 151 versus Floodborn. I don't know. It's got to be relatively similar. I don't know exactly the dates, but they've both been.
Oh, Floodborn, similar, probably similar.
Relatively available still.
Similar enough, yeah.
My point is that the volume of those Charizards existing is infinitely more than the enchanted from a Floodborn.
Agreed, but that model only works when there are equivalent ratio of people in each community looking for that. So like you have your Charizard and there's infinitely more Charizards available. Theoretically, there should be. The reason that price is low is because while there's infinitely more available, there's also infinitely more people looking for them. The staggering point here for me is there's a 1/5, right? I think 1/5 of the number of Elsas available. Yet, it's commanding a high price because there's maybe not the same number of people looking for Elsa as Charizard, but that ratio is much smaller than the difference in the ratio of cards available. And that to me is a sign of Lorcana's popularity. The problem is, like you said several times, Pokemon's tried and true. It's proven, right? And you don't have that early onset hype cycle. So can Lorcana keep this up over time? That's where I get iffy. Like any number of things could happen. We've seen Ravensburger make mistakes before. They can continue to make. I think they're going to be fine. I don't think Lorcana's going anywhere. But it's hard to be like, yeah, Lorcana's chasing Pokemon when anything could literally happen over the next, they got 24 years to go. So
listen, it takes 20 years to build the economy that Pokemon has created, is my point. And that is the difference between Lorcana and Pokemon. And that's why the TCG player numbers don't write this. They're not parallel stories, right? That's the whole point that I'm writing.
They do. And that's why I never compare. I try to avoid comparing games against one another as like an actual point of success or failure. We do it as memes. We do it for fun. We do it to see like how the size of our communities and people's interest compares on a singular platform. But I like to compare sets of a game to a game, right? Compare it to itself on the same platform. But it is indicative of some pretty early success. Like I know, like
100%.
Being in the same ballpark. I'll admit, I was a believer in Lorcana. I didn't think it would be in the same ballpark as Pokemon on TCG Player.
Yeah, I think that the Lorcana model will have to move towards Pokemon. Like it will, and for it to have a continued success, it'll have to do what Pokemon, and it frankly it is doing that. Like you're seeing the Pokemon whatnot streamers and the Pokemon sellers. The guy who I was talking about sells Lorcana too.
Yeah.
Like they are absorbing
a lot of audience crossover, right?
There's so much. Yeah. There's so much crossover from Pokemon. Listen, Pokemon fans though, Pokemon TCG fans, they're looking for something because Pokemon's not working right now. Like it's not doing it for them. They're looking at One Piece. They're looking at Lorcana. Like that's where their eyeballs are as a result of this stuff. It frankly, Lorcana is doing everything MetaZoo was trying to do, right? Like steal the Pokemon fans into their game.
I'm so glad I was always on this side of that fence.
Oh yeah, you look great over there, buddy.
Yeah, except with my NFT bags.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think it's just like a completely the volume of product created. I will never have it, but like you said, second most selling. Like I am firmly in the camp that Pokemon sells more boxes and packs than Magic. I'm so firmly in that camp that, but I don't. There's no way to prove it. There's no way to because so much of that stuff revolves around. We
start to be like, okay, who makes more
product,
Microsoft or Apple? It starts to become like,
oh, it doesn't matter, right? Like,
it doesn't matter. You're in a realm where it doesn't matter. When Apple out earns Microsoft by $2 million or something, everyone goes, that when you each earned 16 billion this year, that doesn't matter. It's a rounding error.
The number that probably matters is how many iPhones are used versus Android, right? Like that's the
well, that would be Google, buddy.
Right, I know. I'm comparing I'm trying to compare a similar like thing.
Well, if that's the case, then the metric is the number of games played, and I have bad news for you.
Sure. Anyway, it's interesting. The new Pokemon set. I really hope the rumors are true that they have fixed the print quantity issues.
Hey man, even Rudy said it, and once he said it out loud.
Rudy said it.
No, once he said it out loud.
Wait, Rudy said it.
Rudy said this. No, Rudy said this. He said Pokemon overprints everything.
Oh, okay.
Until without notice,
it's gone. Yeah.
They don't for a set, and everyone freaks out. And I had never realized it, and then I looked back and I was like, he's kind of onto something.
This is a prime example of what happens with Pokemon. Like this box, it's the biggest pull that you can pull in a XY Flashfire box is like $180.
Sure.
It's a $3,000 box.
Are you?
It is. What happens?
Do you want me to take my clothes off and flex too? Like I don't understand what we're doing here.
It's this. It happens, not that extent. But it happens with all the sets. People came in yesterday. A couple came in and they're like, "Hey, do you have any Chilling Reign boxes?" And I was like, "Where were you 3 years ago when Chilling Reign was out and nobody wanted that crap?" But people just find this like random desire to open up these boxes that dude, I love that. I don't have any of those. I'm out of those. Fusion Strike, I'm out. I'm out of Fusion Strike.
I have thought for a while, part of Cardboard Finance, I should build a marketplace and have stuff like this that you can buy for channel or for box openings on the channel. Because I have just...
Did you keep the hits in that one?
No. This is, I guarantee that I went to the factory and stole.
Guaranteed hitless.
Oh, where's the one? I have a sticky note on one that says the good cards are still in this box, I promise. And it's just not this one.
All right. We're 2 hours. This is a good one. This is a good podcast.
2 hours
it's fun. Yeah, this is fun. All right, everyone, go pre-order your I don't know, murder. What is the cassette? Outlaws at Thunder Junction.
There you go. Nailed it.
GameGrove.gg.
OTJ.
You can also get Star Wars Unlimited. Frankly, buy the Star Wars Unlimited, man. I'm telling you right now, it's super good.
I got 2 cases coming for channel members, but that's it. I'm not a store. I don't have the supply. Louis does. I have 2 cases.
And leave a comment in the comment section. Go subscribe to Josh's channel over at Hometown TCG.
15%. 15% of my viewers are subbed.
Yeah, dude. My numbers aren't great either.
15%.
Go to KitchenTableTCG.com and get in the Discord server. We're going to have some spicy stuff coming up for Kitchen Table TCG people. We got t-shirts in the works. We've got magic tokens in the works. We got new sorcery playmats in the works. Lots of fun things coming out. So,
did you take my advice?
I don't know, or probably not.
Arthurian Legends, you have to make a sorcery spoiler.
Oh,
got to be a custom proxy card, and it's you, me, and George nude on a card.
Love it. The nude artwork.
I
don't want to see that.
TCG nude art.
All right, everyone. Have a great night. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and may the force be with you. We're on the force now, right? We're on the force because we're.
No, I think it's still may the zoo be with you, dude.
Can we just be a Star Wars podcast?
Say it.
Star Wars, frankly, if Star Wars hadn't tanked their IP with the terrible new movies, I probably would have started a Star Wars podcast by now in my life.
Say the end line so we can leave.
May the zoo be with you.
And also with you.